Once again, welcome everyone. I'm David Lavalley, the director here at TCAN. We're going to ask for this call tonight that you choose a speaker view in the upper right hand of your screen, and then Mike Collins, the board chair, and I will kind of hand off here, and we'll have Q&A at the following a brief presentation, so you'll have an opportunity to ask questions. If you'd like to introduce yourself in the chat, that would be helpful. Just go ahead and go into the chat and tell us your name, where you're from. Okay. With that, I'd like to introduce Mike Collins, our board chair, to kick off the meeting tonight. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, David. Thank you all for attending, and welcome to the 2021 annual meeting. I've just got a few brief words and I'll hand it over to David. I'm lucky enough to be reporting that we are in very good shape, and we'll get into certainly more information as the meeting goes on. And considering what this past year was, I think it's a really wonderful thing. Saying that 2021 is going to be great. It's going to be a great year. It's going to be a great year for TCAN. It's going to be a great year for all of us. And of course, that's pretty easy. But there's nowhere to go but up from where we were in 2020. The board met earlier and in executive session to approve last year's minutes of the meeting and to vote on the slate of directors and officers for the coming year. So we're going to be looking back at the performance of the year, but obviously we also want to be looking forward. And behind us was certainly one of the most difficult periods that most of us have ever witnessed. I think we had a deadly pandemic. We had political turmoil. We had personal isolation. Serious economic challenges for everyone, and of course, terrible losses. At this time last year, we were several months into the shutdown. Performance revenue had stopped. Development revenue was questionable, frankly, and we had to ponder the prospect of our survival and whether we were going to make it several months, let alone over a year. Finance committee was very active and continually ran scenarios that considered financial moves and options to keep us alive. There were some dire moments, and I think we all had them, but we certainly had some questions in the process. Yet here we are, with the incredible support from our membership, from individual sponsors, from very generous donors, the success of applying for and receiving grants, and in some cases gifts from complete strangers. We have really survived and excelled. We had a gift from Metro West Subaru combined with a grant from the Foundation for Metro West that allowed us to install a state-of-the-art video recording system so that we can film and live stream concerts. We had a sponsorship that allowed the Metro West Film Festival to happen this year, Metro West Student Film Festival. And that was presented over the weekend. It was a wonderful, wonderful event. We had a generous anonymous donation that matched membership renewals that yielded amazing results. David applied for and received payroll protection monies to keep the staff and the operations running. And today we're very optimistic about receiving a significant grant from the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant Program. And of course, we can't forget that we had TCAN's most successful gala ever, with literally thousands of views for the free virtual concert that featured Laurie McKenna. Looking ahead, we see a strong financial position for the organization, which is again, not something that we thought we were going to be saying a year ago. We see enthusiasm We see excitement about live performances. We have outdoor concert this weekend, in fact, up at Lookout Farm. We have at least another one of those scheduled in August. There are exciting new film and music programs coming up and offerings. But most importantly, we see success and stability for TCAN. And, you know, quite honestly, it's because all of you love and support this incredible place and have supported it over the years, and especially over this year. On behalf of the board of directors and David and the staff, I just want to express our gratitude for this great support. Like many of you, it's been a year of many challenges and distractions, certainly for me professionally. Because of that, I thank Ed Hudson for his support and leadership with the ongoing strategic planning that the board is doing, as well as governance and governance committee and the bylaw review that we're in the midst of. Thanks, very, very thankful for his leadership and driving this process. And of course, to Steve Wilson for his outstanding management and leadership of the finance committee to keep the ship level, and to all of the committee members who have participated. And last but certainly not least, David and the staff for the continuous hard work under such difficult conditions during this past year. So thank you to all, and I will turn it over to David and join later with any questions and answers. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Hopefully this switches over to a speaker view. I want to welcome everyone as well. This is a pretty exciting time for us. We're actually pretty shocked. We're not planning on reopening so quickly and so suddenly. I think everyone was settling into the idea that late summer, fall was going to be the reopening. So when the governor announced that all the precautions were being turned off and everyone could go back to full capacity, we had already rescheduled pretty much everything that was in the month of June. So we hurried up and booked a comedy event so we would have something on the calendar. But we'll tell you more about the programming and what's ahead. First, I really want to kind of give you a little bit of a detail of how we survived the year and the actual financial situation that we're in now following the pandemic. So without further ado, hopefully I can share this screen and nothing will break.
Looks great.
Okay. So I think, you know, to get the appreciation that the staff has about 2020, you really have to think about 2019 first. We had finished what was the best year in our history from just about every metric. We had welcomed about 30,000 patrons, which was a high water mark for us, which added the movie screenings and to our concert attendance. We had a diverse array of performers, including all the artists that you see here: Adrian Belew, Darlingside, Peter Wolf, The Drifters, Haley Reinhart. And I was particularly proud that Erin Basile did all the bookings and programming for that year, that we had so many young artists, up and coming artists. It wasn't entirely made up of classic rock people that we brought back. It was music and comedy for audiences of all ages. So that was a thing that I was particularly excited about for last year. We also found that the movie screenings that we did brought in new and more diverse and younger audiences as well. So that was a thing that we were pretty pleased about. But the programming was only a component of it. In addition to that, last year, or actually 2019, we managed to raised close to $1.7 million in our capital campaign that we launched back in 2013. And that was remarkable because it enabled us to entirely retire the debt that was incurred in 2001. Not many people realize that the organization back in 2001 borrowed about $1 million from a private donor as well as Middlesex Savings Bank in order to complete the construction of the building. So we have been making payments on that long-term debt since 2004, since I arrived here. And so to be able to pay it off 8 years early using the funds that we received from the capital campaign was terrific, because it really helps us in terms of our cash flow. And it's just, it also saved us about $100,000 in interest too. So we felt terrific about that leaving 2019. All the staff positions were filled with a number of folks who I feel very proud to work with, very talented people. We were just finishing our 3rd year of the cinema series, which was very successful. Our membership had reached 2,000 members. And for the first time, our annual gala had raised over $100,000 in sponsorship. 2019 gave us hope and optimism that 2020 was going to be TCAN's best year ever. So that was our mental approach as we went into 2020. But I'm sure we're not the only ones. COVID changed all of that for arts organizations across the country, as I'm sure it changed life for all of you. On March 13th, the governor announced that public gatherings were now going to be limited to 250 people. And based on that announcement, we made the decision to close entirely because we didn't want to wrestle with shows that were less than sold out, feeling uncomfortable that they were going to be in the room, versus shows that were sold out in a room of 270 people. But about a week later, he announced further that gatherings were going to be limited to only 10 people in public places. So pretty quickly, we knew that the doors were going to be closed for a while. As you all remember, the Massachusetts announced the closure of all non-essential businesses. Of course, arts organizations were considered in that pool of organizations. We suspended all of our programs, and we began the process of rescheduling concert events forward in the year. At that point, as did we all, we thought that this pandemic was going to last about 3 months, right? You remember those wonderful days when we thought, in 90 days, in the spring, we'll be back to normal again. And then summer came, and then fall came, and we just, things continued. And we, in our organization, were forced to reschedule all of those artist tours forward time after time after time again. And I'm so pleased that our audiences hung in there with us. They did, some people requested refunds, but not many, and were willing to, bet that at some point in the future that those shows would be held. At the same time, we suspended all of the building maintenance services. We cut our energy consumption in the building, and all the TCAN staff was at that point was working from home. So Mike alluded to this, but this was not an issue that was unique to TCAN. Arts organizations all across the country face this same issue because we were among the first to close, and we knew we would be among the last to open because the physical proximity of people in a venue like ours is so close that we knew it wasn't going to be possible to reopen for quite a while. So we had a choice, and there was great discussion among the board members and the staff members about which path we should take as an organization. On one side, should we cut or furlough the staff, suspend all communications with our members and our patrons, suspend all support for programs, and focus the organization entirely, what was left of it, on expense reduction, and prepare for an extended closure, basically to go into a hibernation mode. And there are arts organizations that took this approach, and now they're facing the challenge of putting everything back together again, now that reopening is starting to happen. The other side of the coin, though, was kind of a riskier direction, which really focused on audience engagement. I felt it was very important, and so did the staff, that we stay connected to our members and we stay connected to our donors and the artists and agencies that we work with, because starting over again would be extremely difficult. So we put plans in place to produce virtual programming because we couldn't do physical programming. Eventually, we were allowed to do movie screenings to audiences of a limited capacity. And meanwhile, some of the members of the staff put energy into preparing the facility for reopening. They painted walls. We did a number of repairs in order to get the facility to the point it would need to be when we were able to reopen. We were very fortunate. Again, Mike mentioned this, that Foundation for Metro West and the Metro West Subaru gave TCAN a very generous grant to install professional quality camera equipment, remote controlled cameras, 3 robotic cameras into the facility so that permanently we would be able to do live streams or some kind of a video of a performance on our stage. That equipment, by the time it was ordered, went in about February, March, and we began organizing pre-recorded video events through artists, mostly local artists, that we reached out to do concerts on our stage. In addition to that, we did, as I mentioned, the limited capacity movie screenings. We did private cinema rentals for small groups at a fairly low cost. We launched virtual education classes. Nicola Anderson, our cinema program director, negotiated a number of video on demand movies that distributors were making available because the studios had all stopped the release of all new films. They were only coming out, if they came out at all, on video online. And then, of course, we did the virtual gala that occurred at the end of the year. I want to, if I can get this to work, hang on just a sec. I'm going to see if I can share my sound. I don't know how many of you have had an opportunity to see some of the video that we produced, but I have a little sizzle reel of some samples of some of the work that was done, so you can have a look at those.
And everything is true now. Grab whatever you can use, throw it in a pile, and make your own news.
They've got the urge for gold, they've got the wings to go, and they get the urge for gold when the meadow grass is turning brown. Summertime is a falling down, winter closing in.
In 2020, and I'm very proud of all that work. It took a lot of effort by a good number of folks, the staff, the artists, all of the talented technical people that helped us put all this stuff together. But I think you're going to see that it was worth it, because our members, our donors, they stayed connected with us, and that was really our goal. So angels to the rescue. This is, I'm not going to show you too many financial charts, but it's an annual meeting, so I feel I should show you at least a couple. This is going back the last 5 years. The blue bar represents the dollars in program revenue that TCAN has recognized since 2016. 2016 was the year that the cinema room was completed. You see from 16, 17, 18, 19, we were on a real steady climb. But then we went from over $1 million in program revenue down to a little more than 200,000. And most of that 200,000, I'll give you the breakdown of that, was in January and February of 2020. So by any measure, it was just a tragic disaster in terms of financially. But the good news in this slide is that the red bar represents donations and memberships and grants and the support that we receive from all of you. And you can see that not only did we maintain the same level of support that we received in previous years, but it was actually a little higher. So not every organization, and I'm in touch with a large number of them, can make the claim that they were able to get through this pandemic in this kind of shape. But thanks to our audience, we were able to end up in a not too bad a shape. So the green here, the shows you the net income or loss. So we did have a net loss last year of about $60,000, but considering what we went through, we all feel pretty good about our ending position. I want to give you a little bit of a breakdown. If you look at the chart on the left-hand side of the screen, this shows the total contributions that we received, and then the total revenue from each category of programming. So you can see the main stage number, which was primarily events that were held in January and February. Auxiliary refers to ticketing fees and concession sales for the entire year. Cinema, and you're aware that we kept screening movies for the better part of the year, recognized revenue to the scale that you can see here. Same thing with online rentals and virtual education programs. We were not able to break the code as far as how to raise much revenue through those virtual activities. But to me, the goal never was generating a whole lot of cash. It really was staying connected with people. And so in that, I feel that we were very successful. On the right here, you see a breakdown of those contributions based on the campaign that people contributed to. So the blue one in the upper right, that $154,000 was the fund that we received through sponsorships of the virtual gala, which makes it the most successful gala that TCAN's ever had. Membership was at $128,000, which is terrific. Most of our membership stayed with us. Grants, we were fortunate to get a few grants from Middlesex Savings Bank, Charitable Foundation, from the Mass Cultural Council last year. And that helped to provide some relief as well. A number of donors made anonymous gifts to the annual fund just to ensure that TCAN was going to be around once this whole thing was over, which was so heartwarming. But to hear from them day after day and week after week, it really kept the staff going. Leadership Circle, which I'm going to show you a little bit later, are the memberships of 1,000 or greater. That community stayed with us as well. And we were also fortunate to get about $60,000 in capital campaign contributions that helped us, work towards building a reserve that will be used to maintain the building. So now we're through to this point, and we're looking at this instant reopening, and we have easily 80 to 100 events that were rescheduled from 2020 that have just been moving forward. And so now, starting in July, we're going to be presenting those events to full capacity. Some of those include Crystal Bowersox, Mark Cohn, Paula Cole, Tom Rush, Asleep at the Wheel. These are shows that normally all sell out, and I'm sure that when people have the confidence to come back out for performances with in an indoor venue, that they will come out. So in that regard, we have reached out to our volunteers. We're holding a number of training sessions because everybody gets rusty after a year of being closed. But we have made the decision that we're going to ask that all of our event staff and volunteers be able to provide proof of vaccination. And we know that that's not required by the state, but we are placing the highest priority on making our patrons feel comfortable and confident that they can come here and know that the the event staff who are serving concessions and seating them are all vaccinated. If you've seen the numbers on vaccination in Massachusetts, they're extremely high. New England has done a fabulous job. And so I anticipate that most of our volunteers are vaccinated anyway, but for as long as we need to, and hopefully it won't be more than a couple months, until we're assured that the numbers are continuing on the right path, we'll keep that requirement in place. On February 13th, which is this coming Sunday, we have a concert featuring Carbon Leaf that is going to be performing outdoors, and the concert sold out in 24 hours. People are really excited to hear live music again and can't wait to go to that beautiful setting and hear that concert and see some live music. I do have some good news. Erin Basile tells me that due to the capacity restrictions being eased at the farm, that we were recently notified we're going to be able to add some additional seating capacity for that show. So we're going to be making that available this week. And we're hoping that more people can join us for that concert, because it is going to be a great one. We're bringing in a stage, we're bringing in a sound system, and it's supposed to be a pretty nice day. So we're really looking forward to that. On the cinema front, we are thrilled that for the first time, Warner Brothers has allowed TCAN to screen a first-run film that is premiering on June 11th, In the Heights, which is, there's a lot of excitement about this musical that was written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. It's getting fabulous reviews, and we'll be screening that for 2 full weeks, starting on June 11th, all the way to the 24th. We were able to do a private preview screening for the students of Walnut Hill School on Saturday night, and they went nuts. They went crazy. It was a fun time. The movie is a real uplifting film, and so we're excited that hopefully people will take the chance to go into an indoor movie theater again and enjoy this great film. I want to end this by thanking the folks who really made it possible for us to be here, because there were often times that we didn't think we would make it. But you know, this group on this slide, I call them first responders. These folks came to our aid very quickly in the first couple months of our being closed, to reach out and lend their support. So I want to share this with you, and I'm not going to read all the names, but I do want to thank each and every one of these folks for their generosity and vision in wanting to make sure that we have TCAN in our town. This group is a second group of donors who also contributed so generously. Many of them were sponsors for the gala. They really stepped up, and you know, some of these folks are regular supporters, but others had not contributed for quite some time, and they reappeared to save us at this time. So I want to thank all of these donors and foundations and businesses for making it possible again for us to continue on with live music and theater and film. And then finally, you know, the honest truth is that our membership has taken a hit, as you would expect it would. It would be tough to maintain 2,000 members, and the membership in numerical terms has fallen. But this group, who contribute memberships of 1,000 or greater, hung in there, and this number is larger than it was ending 2019. So I'm really pleased and grateful to each one of these folks for maintaining their membership, for their consistent support, for believing in us. So if any of you are on this call, and I know that you are, thank you. I also want to thank the board. These are the times that that try men's souls. You know, it was everybody on this group is very passionate about the organization, and you know, we're doing whatever they could in order to make sure that the organization continued. Every one of them was very generous personally, but also put in the time that it took in order to deliberate over our financials and to discuss strategy. So I appreciate everything that they've done. And then finally, the little band of pirates that stayed in the ship. I want to thanks so much to Nicola and Val, to Aaron and Bill, to Cheryl and Kerry and Josh for sticking with this thing. It was very tough, but we have light on the other side of the tunnel now, and I'm excited about the future.